everybody. Welcome to Mindful from the Alo Studios. We have Radhi Shetty in today. She is what I like to think of as a professional inspirer. We're going to have a conversation about wellness, about mindfulness, about nutrition and food. And like, she is in so many different areas of making your life better. And I'm excited to extract.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here. Honestly, I'm so excited to have this conversation. It's going to be so wonderful. And I'm so happy to be here with you.
Radhi, how did you become a professional inspirer? I need some backstory here.
Honestly, I've never heard that title. Every time someone asks me, what do you do? I've never really got a title for it. So I'm not sure I can use that one. But I appreciate you saying that. I don't know. I feel like I started sharing food on my platform first. It was just food only, never me. And it was a way to share something that I loved with the world or just my family who were asking for recipes. And then when my husband, he started getting a larger following online, I realized people were kind of wondering who his wife was. And so naturally they ended up following me. And I thought, well, if they're following me initially for that reason, I want to give them a reason to actually want to stay because of me. And so I just started sharing my life. I was going through so much. I got married quite young. And I started doing so many different things to really figure out who I was, because I grew up in a family that was, I was the youngest, so I was always babied in my family. And then I got married and I felt like I skipped that step of really trying to figure out me as an individual person. And so I just started doing so many different things, from yoga teacher training to studying things that I actually loved versus what I was told to love in school. And I decided to share all of it. And it just was so beautiful to see how many people resonated with something. And just that line of like, I really needed to hear this today. And that would literally make me want to post every single day, because I'm like, somebody out there needs to hear this, because I needed to feel this and I needed to hear this. And it just kept going, and it kind of just still is going in some way, depending on how I'm doing in my day.
Well, you're exceptional at it, and you're uniquely suited for it. I mean, I don't think you just fell into it. And I want to quote your husband talk. So let's back up a little bit. You're married to Jay Shetty. He has a monster podcast. You guys together inspire so many people.
Thank you.
And he said about you recently on a podcast that you're just a joyful person. So talk to me about like your nature, who you are, how you found yourself in this position.
I think he sees like the best in everybody. So I feel like he sees like this golden lining of who I am. But I do try and stay as positive as I can in my day. And I think I grew up wanting to be like the joker in my family. So I think I have that from like a young age of like always wanting to like entertain the people around me, always wanting to make sure that everybody's okay around me. And then when that started being a community online, I realized that no matter what I was going through in my day, there were people in the world who were going through far worse. And if I had the ability to make their day a little bit better, or if I had the ability to help them not feel alone, that in itself is so worth getting up in the morning. And even if I don't feel like that good about myself, and even if I don't feel like I'm going to have a good day, to try and work through that so that I can show up for other people has always been something that I've lived for. And so yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm joyful all the time, but I would say that I really try to squeeze whatever joy I do feel in my life, and to be able to share it with other people brings me so much more joy than trying to focus completely just on myself.
I think what you're saying is really accurate, because you come in with a real honesty. Like, you are joyful, but it's grounded in, I have frustrations in my life, or sometimes the people around me present challenges and this is how I deal with it. And I think that honesty and that realness is part of why we keep coming to you for grounding in our own lives. You have so much wellness embedded in your content, and this podcast is a place for people to share about wellness, share sort of where they are in their own lives, and also like reach out to a community. It's what you do naturally. How do you figure out how to talk to so many people in a way that's so universal? How do you know what you're going to tell them on any day? There's a lot of people watching you right now, like over 1 million. No big deal.
Honestly, I have no strategy. I don't know what I'm posting today or tomorrow. I've tried to have a strategy. I'm just not that person. I find it so difficult to like plan how I'm going to feel, because a lot of the things that I share about, are how I'm feeling in the moment, or are things that I'm reading at the time, or are things that I'm going through myself. So I've been told to have a strategy, and I've been told that I should really content plan, but I just find that really difficult, because I really go, Jay always says, he's like, you're such a creative, you just go on how you feel. I'm like, yeah, I feel like I really am. I really do go with how my emotions are. And so honestly, I've tried to do it where I'm planning, and it feels so inauthentic, because I'm like talking about a feeling that I'm not actually having right now. And I'm not on there to be an actor. I want to be someone who actually, so some days I may not have things to post, and so I don't. But really, I try to just draw on, like I said, things that I'm reading, things that I'm experiencing in my own life, emotions that I'm feeling. And we're all just human to human. So like, I know that if I'm having a human emotion, someone else is having that feeling, or having that thought, or having that question in their mind as well. And honestly, that's exactly what I've noticed. It doesn't have to be so complicated. It's just sharing, and other people feel like they can then open up in some way by what you're saying.
So it's almost like a form of self-care, your content creation.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, it's like therapy. It really is. When I end up talking to a camera, or like I end up, I write a lot of notes on my phone about how I'm feeling throughout the day, or things that come into my mind, and my notes section in my phone is literally therapy. And then I use that when I'm like thinking about what I want to share with people, or thoughts that I've had. And I do think sharing is, whether it's with a therapist or sharing with a community, it's such a big part of like releasing things out of you, and a way of processing things as well. Sometimes I think of a topic and I start talking, and it's stuff that comes out of me that I didn't even expect to, or like sentences that I didn't even know that I had in me. And I realize it's speaking out loud is a form of processing stuff that's just like traveling around in your mind and in your heart. And so I find it really therapeutic.
That's kind of amazing. So we, all your followers, we're like your therapist.
Basically.
And you're also like our therapist. And it's just this virtuous circle. Yes.
Yeah.
Of like being better and feeling better. What do you do to be better and feel better? What does your wellness routine look like?
Good question. I feel like I have like 3 areas: my physical body, my mental state, and then my spiritual self. And for my physical body, I love self-care. I really do. I've started to really enjoy it, whether it is like a skincare routine in the morning and in the evening, or like an exfoliating something with like a mask. I love oils, so I use a lot of oils on my skin. One thing that I do, which is an Ayurvedic practice that I fell in love with, is Abhyanga. And it's like, it's so sweet, because you always go for a massage, and there's other people that you may not even know that are like touching your physical body, and you're exchanging energy with in some way. But Abhyanga is self-massage, so you use oil and you massage your own body. And it's actually such a beautiful way to connect back to your physical body, because I feel like we can hate on our physical bodies so much every single day, sometimes every hour when we look at ourselves in the mirror. And I think Abhyanga is such a beautiful way to like connect back to your physical body. And while I'm doing it, I really do try and like, every part of the body that I end up, going to, I thank it in some way, because I think we forget how important each part of our body is to us, like our feet that carry us, and our hands or our arms that allow us to hug people and embrace people, or whatever part of the body it is. I think it's a really beautiful way to connect back to yourself. So Abhyanga is definitely one of them. Skincare is one of them. And that's my physical body. And then when it comes to my mental wellness, affirmations has definitely been one of them. I notice negative thought patterns that go on in my mind. And what I've realized is it's so easy to fall out of love with yourself when you don't know yourself. And so getting to know yourself on a regular basis, and that means like becoming aware of like, what are the thoughts that are going on in my mind? Becoming aware of like, what am I saying to myself? What am I saying to other people? Where is the disconnect between the words that are coming out of my mouth and the thoughts that I'm having? And I find like when you're living in integrity, and I read a definition of what that is, it's like when your words, your actions, and your thoughts are all aligned, that's when you really feel like you can love yourself the most. And so I really try and take note of like, what is going on in my mind versus what I'm saying versus what I'm doing. And that really helps me to understand myself better, and therefore love myself a little bit better too. And then the last one is my spiritual side, which I have practiced meditation for over 12 years now. And it has been the most transformative part of my journey. Waking up every morning and dedicating consistent time, dedicating specific space to it, and and just having a moment where it is just you, and whether you're connecting to God or connecting to spirit or connecting to the universe, whatever it is that you're wanting to connect to, having that moment has been very eye-opening for me and heart-opening too.
Radhi, this is all goals. I mean, if we could all spend time on our bodies in gratitude, spend time with our mental state and amplify the positive, and then on top of that, find time to meditate, I think we'd all be doing a little bit better. So that's really cool. I mean, honestly, like, how much time during the day does all of this take? Like,
yeah, that's a good question. And I honestly think it has to be whatever you can allocate to it. But once you allocate it, make sure you stick to it. Because we make sure that we eat during the day. We make sure that we go on Instagram during the day. So I've built up a certain amount of time that I like doing, and I wake up early because of that, and I sleep early because of that. Like, I enjoy waking up by like 5:30. That's something that I have practiced for a long time, and I find the time to myself that I get at that point in time is like no other. But that also means I have to sacrifice certain things. Like, maybe I won't put on a movie at night, and maybe I won't like start an episode of something at 9:30 because I know I want to sleep by 10 o'clock. So it comes with sacrifice, but I don't think sacrifice in a negative way. It's like when you're sacrificing to become better, there's nothing negative about it. And so I'd say start off with like 10 minutes. If you have 10 minutes in the day for your physical, 10 minutes for your mental, and 10 minutes for your spiritual, do that. If you have 5 minutes, do that, but at least be consistent and be dedicated in that way. And do it with like integrity, that you are committing to yourself. It's for nobody else. Like, getting up and showing on Instagram that you're meditating versus actually doing it for yourself, you get no benefit from that. Like, if you're getting up and you're filming yourself, which is fine, I've done that, but like it's about what is the intention behind those 10 minutes, and make sure you get the most out of it, because it's your 10 minutes, it's nobody else's. So I think do what you can. It's not about comparing it to anybody else's schedule or routine, but like, what can I give to myself today? Like, that's it. How many minutes can I allocate for myself today? And that's all you have to ask yourself without judging yourself.
Can we go back to, you were talking a little bit about Ayurveda and, you know, clean beauty,
Yes.
taking care of yourself. We have a clean beauty line, wellness. We really believe at Alo that what you put on your body matters as much, if not more, than what you put in your body. And you're such a champion of that. I'd love to hear a little bit about your skincare routine, your beauty routine, and how Ayurveda is a part of it. For the Alo wellness system, we built it around amla.
Yes.
Do you know amla?
Of course, the highest vitamin C content to have ever existed.
It's so good, right?
Highest antioxidants. Oh my God, amla is amazing. It's such a beautiful secret ingredient from India that I feel is missing in people's lives. It would make people's lives a lot better and their immunity a lot better if it was used more.
It's like people who know it are obsessed.
Yes.
It's amazing outside. It's amazing inside.
Exactly.
But beyond amla, like, wait, how Ayurvedic are you in your skincare practice? Like, what do you do?
Good question.
You have beautiful skin, by the way.
Thank you. Honestly, I've tried to keep my life just as natural as possible. So I've always been like that, whether it's to do with medications or like skincare or whatever. I really do believe, especially after I studied Ayurveda, to learn like how every single thing, including whatever's in our clothing and whatever's in our skincare, it's all seeping through into our body and into our organs and into our system. And so I really try to, when I'm using oils, I look at the ingredients and if it's got herbs in it versus having like anything additives that it has, I really try to understand what is it and how is it affecting my body. And so skincare wise, honestly, I just stick to, I do a lot of like natural oils on my skin, which I love. I use a lot of essential oils. When I'm trying to heal my body, I use a lot of spices because spices are so healing for the body in so many ways.
How do you use spices on your body?
Oh my gosh. So on your body. So when I was younger, every time you got like any kind of cuts or bruises, my mum would fill those cuts with like turmeric and it stops the bleeding. It's not a coagulant. Is that the word? The thing that stops your blood from coming out. And so little things that I learned through growing up. And then I realized like when I have a cough and a cold, I don't need to go to medication. I can use what's in my spice box to heal me. And I've been doing that for so long. That's actually what my book is really based on. It's about helping people to reconnect with nature and how that can be so healing for you. And actually the disconnect between you and nature is what causes a lot of mental stress. It's what causes a lot of physical stress. And it's what causes a lot of anxiety in our body as well. And so long story short, I love trying to keep it as natural as possible. I use a lot of Ayurvedic adaptogens, like what you said, on my body and inside my body. And you're right, I think it's a two-way thing. It's not just about what you're eating, it's a full holistic cycle of like, it's internal, it's external, and both together, if you get them right, can create like so much harmony in your body. But I'm excited to try the aloe stuff. Oh my gosh, it sounds amazing.
I'm excited about your book, and I know it's like a little ways down the road, but it sounds amazing.
2024.
And I hear there's recipes.
Yes, it's a cookbook mixed with what we're speaking about, rituals that really help support the good food that you're eating. But like Ayurveda is not about don't eat this or don't eat that. It's actually so inclusive. It tells you how you can eat everything, but it's how you eat it, when you eat it, or how you use it. For example, skincare, how you eat or use it, when you eat or use it, and what do you eat or use it with. And so it's never about like don't eat this or don't eat that, but like how are you using it, which is so much more important, which is why I love Ayurveda, because I don't think life should be about do's and don'ts and like you can have this or you can't have this. I think that builds a really unhealthy relationship with food and with things that we have around us. But really, how am I using it, and to what quantity, and to what degree am I using it? I think that's a healthier way to look at life.
I wonder if everyone listening knows what Ayurveda is. Maybe we can like talk about where it comes from, what it is.
Ayurveda. So Ayur means life and Veda means knowledge. It's originated in India, ancient health science that goes back like over 5,000 years. And it essentially tells you how you can harmonize your body with nature around you and with the things that you are eating to create optimal health. So, it tells you exactly, you can determine what type of body type you are. And based on that, you are able to use what you have around you and know what's going to affect you in what way, depending on what your body type is. So it's very specific to the individual, which is really lacking, I think, in a lot of different paths of health, where you end up having the same thing for everybody. And it doesn't really make sense, because we all look different, we all feel different, and we all have different ways that we react to things. So yeah, it's a unique system specifically based on who you are.
Radhi, what's your dosha? So wait, maybe we should rewind and talk about like what are the 3 doshas and how we like play certain ones up or balance them or play into, it's like kind of about playing into your strengths and finding balance where you need it. Definitely. Right? Is that right?
Yes, and we have all the doshas are based on the elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and they basically combine 2 of them to create 3 categories. So there's kapha, which is earth and water. There's pitta, which is fire and water, and vata, which is air and ether. And we have all of these in our body, but essentially, just as we said, everyone's unique. You have them in different proportions. So imagine you could be 70% kapha, 20% vata, and like 10% pitta, for example. And you have there's what you're born with, which is your original constitution, which never changes. And then there is what you are right now in this moment, depending on every single thing that's come into your body and through your senses, which has altered what you originally were born with. So the goal is to get yourself back from who you are now to what you originally were. And that's what you're constantly trying to rebalance. And there's so much you could say about this. Oh my gosh, we have to have a whole other podcast based on the doshas.
For sure. But wait, what's your dosha?
My dosha is a mix of kapha and vata. So I'm a mix of 2. Predominantly kapha, actually. Kaphas have like thicker hair, a very like sturdy body, which I definitely do. Like I can lift weights, like I've got a very I don't know how to explain it. It's not to do with like being big or small. It's to do with for example, how thick your bones are versus a vata who's got thinner bones, or your structure of your body, which is a bit more like sturdy and like thick, versus a vata body who may be a lot more petite and slender. But yeah, I'm a kapha. Love being a kapha. Has its pros and cons, as everything else does.
I feel like kaphas have, and I know so much less about this than you do, but this like wonderful, like nurturing, trustworthy side.
It has, well, it's earth and water, so they're very like stable. They're very comforting. But then also, if you get imbalanced, it can be one that you can be quite like low in your mood, or imagine earth and water combining, it's like mud. So if you get imbalanced, that's exactly how you feel. You can feel like stuck in the mud a lot. And there's pros and cons to both, but I do enjoy being a kapha. Very.
I feel like this is part of why the community that is around you is drawn to you, because of course you're so good at sharing who you are and what you're going through, but also there's this side of you that feels very like big sisterly. And I wonder, like, it's a lot of responsibility. Are people reaching out to you? What do they want to hear from you? What do they need help with? Are they like texting you for therapy advice all the time?
Yeah, you know what? Being online and on a platform is a really interesting thing. It's something that I'm still getting used to, because it was never something that I had like dreamt of doing or that I initiated myself. And so it's been so amazing because I meet people in person and they really feel like they know me so deeply, and they've built a relationship with me through the content that I've created. And at first it was so difficult because I didn't know them at all. I had not built any relationship with them, but they'd come to me with so much love and like so much enthusiasm to even meet me in person, and it was the sweetest thing. But I almost felt like I was retracting and being like, oh my gosh, I have no idea who these people are. How do I even react how they are? How do I give back to them what they're giving to me? And so I just learned, like, I've really practiced this system of like whatever I'm receiving in the moment to try and like process and give it back, even if I don't have those same feelings, to take what they're giving me and like really pour it back into them, because it's almost like someone giving you a gift, like a really beautiful gift, and you just kind of throw it away. And I feel like the reciprocation of love is so important. And so I do have a lot of people like DMing me asking for help, and honestly I used to try and send voice notes to as many people as I could before, and just like, even if I can't help them, just to say like, I'm listening and I'm here if you like, just know that you're heard. But it can be difficult to do that with everybody. But I really appreciate it, like how sweet that someone trusts you and values you and really puts so much of their like I think it takes a lot to even come up to somebody and like that, you know, or that you admire, and say anything. I think it takes so much for someone to even send a message, because we scroll so much on Instagram. To value someone enough to even send a message to them, I take that so, like, I really appreciate that. I think it takes a lot, and I think I really just try and communicate as much as I can to people.
It's funny because your posts are like this oasis in a scroll of sometimes weird feelings, and people land on you and you feel a little better. And I think all of us at any moment are struggling with whatever is the soup inside of our heads are. And sometimes it's a sweeter soup and sometimes it's a little more bitter. But you're always adding to that when you show up in my feed, and I feel like I feel like you bring a lot of assurance, like it's gonna be okay, you've got this.
That's me talking to myself, by the way. Like, you've got this, it's gonna be okay. But I honestly do feel that way. It's like I get that question a lot of like, why are you always so happy? Like, it's so like sometimes it can feel so fake to be that happy, and I'm like, I'm not happy all the time. I really am not. Even right now in my life, I feel like I'm going through such a transition of relearning who I am, because I keep expecting myself to be the person I was like 5 years ago, and I'm not that person anymore. And so I feel like I'm like being surprised with the person that I am, the way that I'm reacting to things, the things that I like now or don't like that I did 5 years ago. And so I just think that like I feel like I need to put this out. I'm not happy all the time. That's not who I am, but I try to be as much as possible, and I try to see the best in situations, and I try to pick myself back up when I do feel that way. And I feel like that's all we can really do. And if I happen to share, like if I happen to be a little bit more enthusiastic online than I am in real life at the time, that's only because I'm trying to give it back to people, not because I'm trying to like paint an illusion of being happy all the time.
So when you are having a bad day, when everything isn't going super awesome, what do you do? How do you manage it? Do you have techniques?
Good question. So I'm a crier. Like whenever I need to release emotion, I think people need to learn what that is for them. But for me, it's crying. And I used to hold it in me so much to the point where I could feel like this heaviness in my heart and in my head of just like holding in so much emotion that it got the best of me. And actually I would say the number one thing is release emotion. Like it is okay to cry. It is absolutely normal. It's your body telling you, I have something to release out of me. And if you hold it in, that's going to make you feel so much heavier and so much sadder and so much more angry. Like whatever emotion it is that you're feeling, if you hold it in, it's just going to keep multiplying. And so the one thing I've learned is to just cry it out. And and by the way, that means release emotion in whatever way that you need to. But for me, that was a big thing, to allow myself the space to do that, and telling myself that doesn't make me weak. It doesn't mean that I'm upset or inverted commas depressed. It doesn't mean that I am anything. It just means that I am reacting the way that my body needs to react right now in this moment, and I accept that. So release of emotion is one. The second thing is allowing yourself, by the way, I don't think you should be like, I feel terrible, but I need to pick myself back up right now and I need to be this amazing, chirpy person. No, you don't. What you need to do is process what it is you're going through, and whether that means writing things out. What is it that you're feeling? I started doing this thing called free writing a while ago. And before I used to be like, I'm never going to be a journal person. I'm not a Dear Diary, I feel like this person. And I still am not. But what I am is someone who, like, I will keep, it's the process of, like, you put pen to paper and you keep writing no matter what is going through your head. You write down everything. And I find that a lot of the time we're very fearful of what's actually coming out of our mind, because we're so used to other people seeing it. Creating a sacred space where this book, this page is just for me. It's not for me to show on social media. It's not for me to talk to my friends about. It's not for me to share with anybody but myself. But if we can't face the things that we are actually feeling or thinking, we're never going to be able to get over them. And so really starting a place, and by the way, you can burn that afterwards. You can rip it up and throw it away so no one ever has a chance of finding it. But processing it in that way and really working through what your thoughts are definitely helps. And then the third thing I would say is, and this sounds very simplistic, but it really makes a difference. What are you eating? What are you feeding yourself? What are you feeding your mind? What are you feeding every other part of you? It's like the community that you are in, the things that you are allowing into every sense that you have, including your taste, your smell, your eyesight, your whatever the other senses are, your hearing. What am I doing? Because are those things supporting me uplifting myself out of this, or are they draining me even more? And I used to be like, I'm sad, so I just want to sit here and listen to a sad song. Okay, fine, listen to your sad song. But don't listen to 5 hours of that sad song, because that's only pulling you deeper into it. So know that when you are feeling those ways, yes, you can sit in it for a little bit. Yes, you can allow yourself this space to wade in that sadness or that anger. But you're only harming yourself when you do that. So do that, and then pick yourself up by changing the narrative in your mind and changing all of those other things. Even if you don't change how you're feeling, change those little things. Am I eating food that's good for me, or am I eating food that's dormant and not nourishing my body? Am I moving my body in a way that is going to benefit me and create endorphins in my body, or am I not? Am I speaking to people that make me feel better about myself, or am I speaking to people that actually make me feel really crap about myself? Am I watching things that make me feel better or not? Like, all of the things that you think about in your day that you're doing, like, weigh them up. What am I doing versus what am I doing that's making me feel better versus what am I doing that's making me feel worse? And when you see that balance, maybe you'll be able to see what you're doing wrong or what's not possibly helping you.
That's an amazing answer. What you're telling me, what I'm hearing is, you're going back to the practice. You're not going into solution mode. You're not going into, it doesn't even have to be an analysis, but you're of what you're feeling and why. But you know that there's a set of things you do that help you reset, and you start to find solutions by going back into the practice.
Oh my God, I love that you just summarized. Basically what she said in summary is exactly what I'm saying. That's so true. It's like, you're not thinking about the solution. You're not thinking about getting better. You're practicing the rituals and the practices that you know can do that, versus trying to get yourself to a place that you feel better straight away. Thank you for summarizing it. You could just cut all of what I said out and just put what she said.
I'm really taking that away from what you shared, and I'm going to ask you for some advice. So we wanted to ask you, what is a piece of advice that you want to share with everybody? You've given us so much already, but like, what's like that nugget?
The nugget. What is the nugget? Well, I feel like I'll share a nugget that's helping me at the moment. And that is, don't expect yourself to be the person that you were an hour ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Like, allow yourself space to change and be the new version of yourself. And that's been something that I've been working on at the moment, and that's really been helping me of like, relearn who you are. Make sure that you are constantly taking time to relearn about yourself, because otherwise you end up being, it's like that boyfriend that keeps giving you gifts that you don't like and doesn't love you in the way that you want to be loved. but also isn't taking the time to get to know you. So like get to know yourself regularly, relearn who you are and expect yourself to change and allow yourself the space to do so.
So don't be your own bad boyfriend.
Don't be your own bad boyfriend, okay? Be the boyfriend you've always wanted to have.
That's amazing. I love that advice. We wanted to workshop a new segment with you, and it's called Food Fact Fun.
Okay.
And so the first question is, what's the last delicious thing you ate?
The last delicious thing I ate, it's a bit boring, but the last delicious thing I ate was definitely my morning protein shake smoothie. I put like strawberries, I put the this wellness powder in it, and peanut butter, strawberries, my protein powder. I really enjoy it in the morning.
Okay, next, what is a fact about you that we don't know? Fun fact.
A fun fact. Oh, my mum always gets upset with me because she thinks I'm a daddy's girl and I always pick his side over her all the time, even though she's like the most amazing mum that I've ever had. But my mum always would get upset with me when no matter what, if they're arguing or anything, I'm always like, no, but dad did this. I'm always on my dad's side. That's
amazing. Where do your parents live? Are they close to you or far?
No, they're all in London. My whole family's still in London. So yeah.
So it's like a Zoom situation.
It's like a everyday situation. It's like if she says anything bad about him, I'm like, how can you say that about him? And even if she's completely right, he's just grown up in a whole house with 3 women, you know, like it's me, my sister and my mum. And so I always feel like I have to, you know, be on his side. We're very feisty women. I'm
glad for him that he has you. Okay, last question. What is the last fun thing you did?
Oh, the last fun thing I did. Oh, there's been quite a few. Oh, I did. This is so random, but basically we have like this dance celebration for 9 days in my culture. It's called Garba, and you basically get together with your friends and we do this cultural dance together. And I hadn't done it for years, and I had so much fun doing it. And it was just really nice because it took me back to my youth, and all my friends were there as well. And it was a vibe. It was really fun.
Is it like, do you do modern music? Do you do traditional music?
No, you dress up in like our old school Indian wear, and like it's a specific dance. It's so weird. You have to look it up because I think for the outside world who's not grown up with it, it's interesting. But you're all in a circle, and it's kind of like a tribal dance because it started in villages, but it's a specific like dance where you're kind of twirling around and clapping your hands and
twirling sounds fun.
It is. It's so fun.
That's amazing. Radhi, this has been so uplifting, and because you are doing it in the complex modern world that we're all living in, and then we get to see it on your Instagram, and I think it makes us all feel like we can do it too. And hearing from you today, like unlocking what you're doing and how you're doing it, it's really a neat backstory to that. Thank you.
This has been amazing. I feel the same way about being on this. It's been so wonderful to have this conversation, and you know, you're initiating it and you are a platform for it, which is so beautiful. So thank you for allowing me to share.
Well, can you do it again? Will you come back?
Yes, 100%.
I think you're going to have more to share.
To be here at Alo HQ, I'll be here. I'm going to be here every day, I'm telling you.
Come get a facial, come work out, come hang in the podcast room.
Definitely.
Have a smoothie, and we'll do this again.
Amazing.
Thanks, Radhi.
Thank you.